My psychiatrist said that I was like seeing things, not like delusional, but like I was being my own worst critic. And he's like, it's not like that. It doesn't look like that. And then he told me to like take it easy and not like sit in front of the mirror so much, because it used to be like a hobby of mine. Like I would sit in front of the mirror and like do my makeup for hours. And then one day I was getting ready to go somewhere to like a Halloween party, and my friends were like, do you know how long you were in front of the mirror getting ready? And I was like, no, like usual, like 5 hours, whatever. They're like, no, 12 hours. So when that happened, I was just like, oh my gosh, like I need help. So my psychiatrist was like, through the years, it'll get worse and worse, and I'll start seeing stuff like that isn't there.
Would you be willing to talk about this on camera?
No, I don't care.
Yeah, this is interesting.
Anyway, so I'm not supposed to look in the mirror because I'll start to see stuff that's not there. Like wrinkles or like what if I start, my psychiatrist said I'll see Shrek.
Really?
Yeah.
But you're a beautiful young lady.
I appreciate that.
But you don't see it that way.
Oh, I haven't looked in the mirror in like over a year.
Really?
Yeah.
I
prefer it actually, because I'm just like, I'll get so wrapped up in like what I look like, and my psychiatrist says said that I'm not seeing what is really there, what everybody else sees. I'm not seeing that. And
so that's your self-worth. Self-esteem.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm on antidepressants. I take Prozac, and then I just don't look in the mirror.
You know, I've suspected this when I started this project a long time ago, many years ago, and it gets reinforced almost with every interview. And now, after doing 8,000 interviews, roughly, I'm convinced, without a doubt, convinced that all these problems that you see on my channel are all based on problems with self-worth, self-esteem.
Yeah.
And the way to fight that is not with drugs, I don't believe. They can be effective, but they're not the real solution. The real solution is doing esteem-building acts that build your self-esteem.
Yeah.
And working in a strip club probably is not that. Taking advantage of married men is not that. It's not going to be esteem building. And eventually you get to a point that you can't even look at yourself. You can't even see yourself.
Right.
Even though you're beautiful, physically beautiful, you don't see it that way.
Yeah, because you're just like, it's all about how you look.
How you see yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
How long have you been dancing?
Well, I mean, I've been dancing as long as I can remember. My grandparents, actually, they put me in ballet. Like, I mean, I was in my car seat still when they put me in ballet.
Like a lot of young girls. But at some point you made the transition from being a young child ballerina to a stripper.
Kind of, yeah, because like I got like, I became of age, like of over 18, and then I decided that I wanted to move to New York to be a prima ballerina. And then I went out, my parents bought me a ticket to go to the ballet and like see some places that I was gonna live. And when I went out like in the dead of winter, and I was like, this is way too cold. Like, it's so gnarly out there. Like, you have to wear like 20 layers of clothes.
You grew up in LA?
Yeah, I was born and raised in LA County, yeah. So like, it's just crazy because you can't, I mean, I don't even know how you're supposed to get a date. Like, if you have 20 layers of clothes and you're going out like just to the bar, like that's like a turnoff. So I was just, and I'm anemic. So I'm like, no, this isn't gonna happen. Like, I'm not gonna live out there. And then I came back to LA and I was just thinking, I'm just gonna go to the gentleman's club, or I'm just gonna go to the strip club and do that temporarily. And then it just got to be like really good money.
Yeah, and then you get addicted to the fast money.
I'm not addicted to the fast money, to be honest. I can see how that can happen. A lot of the strippers, when I started, they were like, don't do this. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. It's like a lifestyle that you become a slave to the money. You're not going to be able to get out of it. So I was like, I come from a really wealthy family, so I wasn't really worried about it. But the only thing is, I don't want my family's money. Like, I want my own money. So I saw early on how it could happen, but then my sister, she was like, you need to stop this lifestyle. Like, it's not okay. Like, you're kind of like getting lost in like your values and your family beliefs and stuff. So I was like, fine. And for like a whole year I stopped, and we traveled, we went on like religious retreats and stuff. And I've learned how to like budget my money. I'm like on a budget, a really strict budget, believe it or not. And things are different, but like, I'm so happy that I stopped, because at first, like, there's no way, like I would have been a total slave to the money. I would have.
Was that year when you took a year off better for you psychologically?
Yeah, because I was spending like I counted one day how much money I was spending. And I was like, in a matter of like 1 minute, I spent $5,000. And I was like, I don't care how much money you make. Like, even if you're Melania Trump, like, you can't be spending money like that. Like, it's not okay. Like, you'll hit the bank, you'll break the bank. You know what I mean? So, yeah, mentally it was totally different afterwards, because now, like, I mean, I'll go to the dollar store. Like, I had never been to the dollar store. Now, like, I'll buy my shampoo and conditioner from the dollar store.
So you went from one extreme to the other.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But you're saving money now.
Yes, I'm saving money now.
No drug habit?
No, I don't have a drug habit. I take Prozac, which is for depression. I suffer from depression.
When you're dancing at the club, you're drinking, or?
I can't drink, actually. I'm Catholic,
Right.
So I do have a glass of wine every week, but I don't drink because I'm a type 2 diabetic. And just recently I was getting really sick. Like on Christmas, I got really sick because the doctor said that because I'm a type 2 diabetic, which it's recent, my body's not metabolizing the alcohol into sugar. It's just going straight to sugar. So I had literally like one drink, not even a full drink, and they had to take me to the emergency room.
Oh, wow.
It was horrible. It was horrible because I was just like celebrating, like, you know, like Jesus said to eat, drink, and be merry. And like I was just doing like what my family normally does at Christmas time, and I ended up in the emergency room. I was so sick. So I can't drink really, except for, you know, a glass of wine.
I'd like to thank BetterHelp, who's the sponsor of today's video.
How'd that go?
Sometimes this job is just too tough for me. It just is.
What do you mean?
We go through so much week after week after week. There's all this one drama and another, and there's so many difficult people to deal with. I mean, thank God I have somebody to talk to that just helps me understand, helps me calm down, helps me see through all the clutter and all the craziness that I have to go through, especially with this project. And that's where BetterHelp, who's sponsoring this video, is so helpful. It's just like, you can call this guy from anywhere. You can call him from your car, from work. I can go in the office, shut the door. I can do it at home. I can do it anywhere. It's great. It's just so helpful to have somebody just to like air all your garbage on.
It's very
and make
helpful.
Make sense of it.
Yeah. I think it's great that you're able to work that into your schedule. I know that it's changing all the time.
Yeah, no, the schedule is crazy, but with BetterHelp, you can schedule it so easily. You just like, you know, and you know, for people that are looking for a new therapist, you call BetterHelp and you can get referred usually within 48 hours. And if you don't like that therapist, they'll you know, you just keep trying until you find somebody that you click with. It's a great way to operate, and find somebody that just works for you, and then it becomes like your regular thing. It's really wonderful.
It's great to have each week to reset a little bit.
It's a reset. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's a reset. But you know, BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who's trained to listen to you no matter what your area that you need help with is. And it's just great to have somebody that's unbiased, that just listens and helps you understand.
I've seen you go into your sessions feeling a little bit pent up, and when you're done with your sessions, you just have this ease about you.
I'm a different person.
You're a different person.
I'm a
It's
different
so
person.
helpful.
Yeah, it really calms you down and just helps you, like, gives you peace with everything that's going on. It's really helpful.
I wish some of our subjects that you interview knew how amazing therapy.
Yeah, therapy is like, it's like such a beautiful fix. And sometimes it works quickly, and for other problems it takes longer, but either way it works. It just takes the willingness to like open up and find out what's there and figure it out. And a great therapist can help you do that. If somebody needs help, it's so easy to let BetterHelp connect you with a therapist that can help you figure out your issues. You visit betterhelp.com/Soft White Underbelly, or just choose Soft White Underbelly during sign up, and you get a discount on your first month. All right, and now back to the video. Have you been married?
I have been married twice, actually.
Twice.
I got married right out of high school, and the man that I was married, he was African American, but he lied to me and he told me he was white. And like I was born blonde, so I can be like so much of an airhead sometimes. So I believed him. And then my dad was like, I don't know if he's telling you the truth. And so my dad, like, I mean, people have said that my family is like really racist, but I mean, what can you do about that? Like, I can't change my dad from his ways, you know? So my dad found out that he was African American, and he was like, no way, this marriage is getting annulled. So that happened, and then I got married again.
You annulled him because he was African American?
Yes. My family doesn't like to do that. Like, I'm Caucasian, my family likes to keep it like white.
Oh, yeah, I get it.
And then the second marriage, he was white, but he turned into a jerk. He was putting up some major red flags. Like, he graduated from Catholic high school, Bishop Alamany, it's in the Valley, which is like kind of like weird because I would never date anybody from that school really. But we started dating, and he at first, like, I was over at Exposed Gentlemen's Club in the Valley, and he was, you know, whining and dining me, and everything was great at first, and we decided to get married. I've known him since junior high, so I thought it was all kosher or whatnot. And then we moved out to Arizona, and he wouldn't get my hair like fixed done for the Super Bowl. It was hosted in Arizona last year, and I was just like, he wouldn't take me to go get my hair done. So I was like, okay, this is not gonna happen.
You've had bad luck with men?
Yeah. But I'm a daddy's little girl. My dad, he's always like, just carry yourself like daddy's little girl and you'll be safe. You'll be okay. Because he's like, I love you more than anything in this world. So if I love you more than anything in this world, your husband should love you. And like, as soon as they start like throwing up a red flag, I'm like out of there.
But nothing will impact the success of a relationship more than your self-esteem, your self-worth. And if
That's true.
If you see yourself
That's true.
in a bad light.
Yeah, exactly. You definitely can't have your husband like calling you a freaking moron or bitch.
That's not good.
No.
Tell me about dancing at the club. What's that like?
Let's see. It's a lot of fun. My psychiatrist told me that I'm a nymphomaniac, so I was finding that I have a lot of energy that like I can't really like express a lot throughout like my ordinary day. But when I get to the gentleman's club, I definitely can express myself more so than I can. Like, I can't walk through the mall and like talk about a complete stranger, even if he is a gentleman, and say, oh, tell me about your erection. How long does it last for? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I could do that at the gentleman's club. So it's a lot of fun. And then I go on stage and I dance, and I would have never figured that like my grandparents putting me into ballet when I was like practically a newborn, that it would help me like make money, because some gentlemen are like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Like, you could pick your leg up like way up here, or you open your legs like totally open like that. Like, that looks really sexy.
And this is a totally nude club?
Yeah, it's fully nude.
Yeah. The clients are married sometimes?
Usually. I don't really mind, just because like I don't really interfere in people's
it's not your
marriage.
business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and if they want to talk about like their wife, you know, whichever way, like I just stay neutral and I just like listen.
Do they do that sometimes?
Sometimes, like, I mean, believe it or not, like you'll get a gentleman that just went through a divorce. And like my family doesn't believe in divorce, even though like I've had two, but I'm the only one in my family that's had a divorce. So my family, they don't believe in divorce. But so like if I hear like if a gentleman.
So you had a religious background?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holy Roman Catholic. But anyway, so.
So if you have a client who's talking about his wife?
Yeah, I don't mind. I just stay neutral. Like, I mean, it's none of my business. I was raised to like not interfere. But like, if there's been a gentleman that came in and sometimes they look distraught and they'll be like, I was separated and I just went through like a really bad divorce. Like, I went home and my wife freaking like took like our kids, and like she took my freaking like my safe with all my money in it, and like I literally had like one like piece of meat to eat. Like there's things that women do, like you're just like, oh my gosh, like, that's horrible. That's really messed up.
It happens.
Yeah, like this one gentleman, his wife, like they had been married for years, and he said she was so kind. Every day she would like get ready and she would go shopping, he would give her money, and then just one day he came home and the home was completely empty. And I was like, did she leave you like a Dear John note? And he's like, no, she didn't even do that. Like I was like calling the police and like calling 911, and they were looking all over the country for her. And when they found her, she was like in the East Coast, and she was like, oh, I don't even want to talk about him.
This is not my view, but are women cold-hearted?
From the stories that I've heard, they can be. They can be.
Yeah. Not all.
Not all of them, I suppose.
No, I can guarantee you they're not. But there are some that are.
Yeah, from what I've heard,
and those
yeah.
stories are hair-raising.
Yeah, like, I mean, why would you do that to somebody? Like, I mean, if you could spend that much time, I don't know, it's just mind-boggling, you know? Like, they could put up that much of a front every day, and then out of the clear blue sky, just totally, like, pack up the home while they're at work, like, and not leave them with even a sandwich. When the day before, like, they were making them, like, chicken. Like, that's weird.
Maybe she found a better option.
Yeah, that's weird.
Tell me about your childhood, Asia.
Oh gosh. Well, my psychiatrist said, because, you know, I lived a very sheltered life. So I didn't really know much until I started suffering from depression when it was like diagnosed, and that was when I started going through puberty. And what my psychiatrist said was that I've never heard the word no, because my grandparents, like, they raised me and they're really wealthy, and so they never said no to me. And I didn't know, like, that was not okay to do. But my psychiatrist said, parents don't do that. Like, they don't tell their kids, like, yes all the time. Like, when they want something, they don't say, okay, let's go to Toys R Us and let's buy you whatever you want, like, at the drop of a hat. Like, that's not okay and that's not normal. And I was like, so what are you trying to say? Like, I'm, like, weird? Or he's like, no, I'm trying to say you're, like, bipolar. But anyway, he was kidding. So I grew up having, like, a very sheltered lifestyle. My grandparents, they have, like, a mansion in Granada Hills, and, like, it's on, like, a bunch, like, 20 acres. And, like, it's on, like, horse property, but it's against, like, our religion to have horses. Sounds weird. But I just say it's against our religion because, like, my grandfather, his parents are from Italy. He was born in Houston, but his grandparents, like, they're all from Italy. And so, like, there are certain things that they're really strict about. Like, if you live, like, at the country club and you have, like, horse stables, like, you're not allowed to have horses in my family. So, I mean, it's just been very sheltered. I had a Catholic education. I graduated from USC. My grandparents paid for that. I don't know what else to say.
Are you a disappointment to your family?
No. I was always an overachiever. I graduated, like, valedictorian.
Really?
Yeah. So I thought that, like, I actually ended up getting a doctorate from USC in physics, and, like, I thought that, like, I was totally fine because at the time I was listening to a lot of people and they were like, oh, I'm underqualified. I can't find a job because I just have a bachelor's and, like, no one will hire me. So I was like, oh, that's not going to happen to me. Like, and so I was an overachiever, and then when it came time for me to apply for a job, like, I was getting calls back from, like, these lawyers and, like, these doctors saying that I was overqualified. So I was like, are you serious? Like, I'm just gonna go to the strip club. Anyway, that's how, like, it all kind of started.
You're an interesting personality. You say you're a little bit of a nympho, and then you're highly educated, but then you're dealing with all these psychological issues. It's an interesting mix. And depression too, right?
Yeah, I suffer from depression. We tried to do all, like, these natural, like, remedies. I mean, I had a whole list from the doctor. And then it just got to the point where my doctor was like, if you feel like life is getting too hard for you, then just let me know. So I had a baby, and then I thought about like, oh my gosh, what if I pass like this depression on to my baby? I don't want to do that. So.
No kids?
No, I have a daughter.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And where is she? With you?
She's with my mom.
With mom.
Anyway, so I started taking antidepressants because like I do want to have more children, and I don't want to pass on like depression to them. I mean, that's horrible. Depression is horrible, horrible. So that's why I'm mainly on medication.
How do you think this career that you've chosen impacts that, though?
Well, I think it all depends on your outlook. I think it can be positive or it could be negative. It all depends on what you do with it. My dad, he made me feel better about it because he met my mom in front of a gentleman's club in Texas. And to be honest, at first I was like, oh, like I'm kind of like the side piece. And like somebody's mistress type, even though I wasn't really doing that. Like that's how I was kind of like feeling. And I was like, kind of holding my head down. And my dad said, I'm so proud of you for doing that. He's like, I totally admire the women that do that stuff because he's like, I've never been to one, but he was gonna go to a gentleman's club with his friends. And when they were on their way there in Texas, and he bumped into my mom with her twin sister, and they're like, he's older than my mom. And my mom was like 19 at the time, and he said it was love at first sight. And so his friends were like, okay, come on, like we're on our way to a gentleman's club. And he's like, oh no, go on without me. And then they got married.
So she wasn't working at the club?
No.
She just happened to be walking by.
They were shopping nearby, yeah. Her and her twin sister.
So it's nice that your dad is not coming down on you for doing it.
Yeah, he's like, I totally admire the women that do that. He's like, even though I've never been.
I'd love to talk a little more about what we talked about at the very beginning when you sat down.
Sure.
About the inability to look at yourself in the mirror.
Oh gosh, it's horrible. It used to be one of my hobbies. I mean, I wouldn't write it down on like a...
No, but if you're sitting in front of a mirror for 12 hours is...
Not okay.
Not okay.
Yeah, like, I mean, the one thing that my grandmother raised me like on believing is that you can't have people waiting for you. It's really rude. Time is like a valuable and precious commodity. So like, you can't keep people waiting. And I mean, it's fine to be fashionably late, but not your whole life, especially women. So, I mean, to be in front of the mirror for 12 hours and not even know it and show up late, like that's...
Were you like this even as a young girl before you were a dancer?
Yeah.
You were?
Yeah.
So this was always in your psyche?
Yeah, I mean, when you're in ballet, you have to look in the mirror because you have to make sure that the line is right. So now if I do have to go to a ballet class, I'll go to like a studio that's really big and the mirror is like 150 feet away and I won't look.
Wow. Is it getting better or worse as time goes on?
It's getting better because I actually saw a picture of myself, which I normally don't look at pictures. Like if we take family pictures, I won't look at them. But one day I was flipping through a photo album and I accidentally just like caught a glimpse of myself. And from not looking in the mirror, like I'm kind of having to like do my best without it. So I'm not making up excuses for myself, but like I took a makeup class by Chanel where I can put on makeup without looking in the mirror. So that's one plus. And then like also like I don't look in the mirror and be like, oh, how did these jeans look on me? Like I just try to stay like really thin. And I do get on the scale and like I'll look at that number, but like I won't like be in the mirror like looking at stuff that's not even there.
Or when you're walking past a store window, you won't look in the reflection?
I'll try not to.
It's an interesting thing you're going through.
It's a different type of lifestyle. It takes getting used to.
Because if you did see yourself, you'd be very critical?
Oh yeah, I mean that would be dumb, to stand in front of the mirror and like start looking at stuff that's not there.
Yeah.
Don't you
No,
think?
but I can tell you, you're beautiful. You're very attractive. There's no reason you should be unhappy with how you look, but I understand that you are. And I suspect that might have something to do with maybe it's in your DNA, it's in your personality, but certainly what you do for a living doesn't help.
No. Oh no way. No way. You'd have to definitely be like a really confident person to like accept the rejection that goes on there sometimes.
Yeah, because that's got to be hard too. You have to be thick-skinned, right?
Yeah, I mean it can be like a lot, if someone is interested mainly in African American pussy, like I'm white, like my pussy's white. I'm not going to be able to, like, if someone is interested in that, like I'm not going to be able to satisfy them.
Yeah.
And
there's guys like all different types of women.
Exactly.
There's somebody out there that will think you're the cat's meow. And
Yeah.
somebody else who will like, he wants a thick black girl or whatever.
Exactly.
Or short or tall or whatever.
That takes some getting used to, because then I have my own opinions about like what's pretty, and like I might not agree with the gentleman, but like I don't, like you said, like you kind of just have to take it like with a grain of salt and just be like, okay, it's not me personally. It's just like, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So
How do you think you've changed over the years from doing this?
Well, I've gotten closer with my family, and I've gotten wiser with money, and I'm like a lot more interested in exercise. Definitely. I mean, anybody can look good with clothes on, but when you're naked, like, I mean, it's really hard to hide like cellulite.
No, and you're up there naked, just with shoes on, right?
Yeah, exactly. And by law, you have to get naked because they have to know that like you're not a transvestite.
Oh, wow.
Like they have to know that you're a woman. So if you're up there and you're like, oh, I'm not going to get naked because, this gentleman's not tipping me, you can't make people tip you, and you have to get naked by law. So the first song, there's 2 songs. The first song, you have to take your top off. And then your second song, you have to be completely nude by your second song. So you have to be totally in your birthday suit. Yeah, because otherwise, like you're not going to know. Like the law, the police, if they're there, they're not going to know if someone's on stage and he's actually like a man.
We haven't mentioned the name of your club, and we're not going to. There are a lot of strip clubs. There will be girls that go in the back rooms and do extra things to make more money.
I've heard about it, and I'm not gonna put it past the females that do that, because I know that like in school they said that you have the law, and then you should obey the laws of the land, but you have people that are like criminals that like break the law. I personally don't, but like I've had gentlemen, I've never seen it, but I've heard. Oh, this is the microphone. I was like, what is this? Anyway, I've heard of gentlemen, like just the other day, this gentleman asked me, and he seemed like, I try not to judge, but he seemed totally like square. And he was just like, hi, I have a flight to catch, and I usually am in here on Fridays, and which I'm normally not there. But he's like, all the girls, they know me, and I'll usually go and get a VIP and maybe like half an hour. But before we go back there, I want to know like if I give you like $80 extra, if you can give me a blowjob, like very matter of fact. Or if I give you $40 extra, if you'll give me a hand job. And like, while I love doing those things, it's against the law for me to do them and solicit them if I'm at the gentleman's club. Like you can't have like solicitation of prostitution there. Like it's just like, it would be so dumb.
Yeah, clubs get shut down for that sometimes.
Yeah, like I don't want to stand in front of a judge and like have the judge yell at me because I'm like trying to like act like a prostitute at the gentleman's club. Like that'd be so embarrassing. So anyway, you have to be really careful with how you talk. And I just said to him, I would love to do that. I really would, because I like that kind of stuff, but it's against the law for me to do that here. So I'm sorry. And then he, what he did? He grabbed $10 and he tipped me. He's like, oh, here you go. I appreciate you. You're really beautiful, but I think I'm gonna go with plan B. And he pointed to like African-American female. And I was like, okay. to each their own. And it's not like I'm going to pick up my phone and call 911 and tell, because they have cameras. They have cameras all over and they'll get in trouble. But I mean, it's none of my business.
Do you have any regrets in your life?
Any regrets? Oh, gosh. Oh, my last two ex-husbands, totally regret it. I'm just being honest.
Again, that has something to do with your self-worth.
Yeah. Like I didn't have any issues with my self-esteem. And like now we're trying to my doctor and I were trying to get it back to normal because, I grew up really spoiled. My mom, she used to come home for no reason. And she'd be like, I bought you something today from the mall. And I would open this jewelry box and it'd be a tennis bracelet with diamonds. For no reason. Or once I was getting bullied at school by this one girl, and my mom gave me this freaking diamond ring for it. So she would do that for no particular occasion, no holiday, just because she wanted me to know that she loved me. So I didn't have any issues with my self-esteem, but I remember my first ex-husband, one day out of nowhere, I asked him what he wanted for lunch. And he was like, I don't want anything. And I was like, you just asked me 15 minutes ago to fix you a sandwich. So I want to know what you want for lunch, what kind of lunch meat. And he goes, I don't want anything, bitch. And I was like, what? I left that day. But it's flabbergasting because, I have my family.
That came out of nowhere.
Yeah, I have my family, and my family, they love me so much, they would give me constructive criticism. My grandma, she's the worst. She'll be like, you need to tone it down, my grandma would do that. And I love my family for that. But for someone to come out of nowhere and say something totally off the wall that's not even true, I mean, I can be a bitch, I could say, but there's no reason for him to say that,
What's your biggest fear now?
Death. I died, actually. I died. You're like, okay, stripper, you sound like you're going cuckoo now. No, I was in the hospital and I flatlined.
From what?
I got bacteria in my blood. So I was at home, I was in front of the computer at my desk, and I started literally shaking, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's happening to me? Am I about to have a heart attack? So my family, because my mom suffers from high blood pressure, I was like, it has to be a heart attack, has to be. So I called 911, they took me to the hospital, and they found this bacteria in my blood. But as soon as they found it, I just remember a bright white light. And I had a dream, and it was what do they call it? It's called out of body experience. And I had a dream of I went to heaven and I met Jesus. That was my dream. He was carrying me. And then he said to me in my dream that it wasn't my time. And when I woke up, I found out that I was in a coma for 30 days.
30 days.
And it felt honestly, it felt maybe 2 weeks. That's what it felt like. Because I would come in and I would go out and I could hear my heartbeat next to it. Beep, beep, beep. And then when I finally came to, my brother was in the room with me.
Wow.
So you asked me what was my biggest fear. It's death. It wasn't scary being in heaven, to tell you the truth. I wanted to stay. Because thinking about Earth and thinking about all the stuff that's here, the graffiti, the homelessness, people hitting each other, stuff like that, it wasn't something that I was looking forward to coming, if I was to be sent back. It wasn't something that I wanted, all the bars, stuff like that. I didn't want to come back, but I didn't really have a choice. It wasn't my choice,
So you think there's something after, when we pass away, there's somewhere we go?
Yeah, exactly. And I wanted to stay there. I didn't want to come back here. So anyway, so
welcome back to hell.
Yeah, honestly, you go somewhere, either heaven or hell, and death is because I did die, it's scary. Like, I remember how I felt right before, and it was really scary because my family, I was the only one there. I didn't have time to call my family. Somebody said, oh, it must have felt like all the walls were like caving in on you. And that's exactly what it felt like. And it was like right before St. Patrick's Day, and my family, they're really superstitious. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's not even St. Patrick's Day. Like, this is really bad luck. Like, so like, I just didn't have time to pick up the phone and call like my parents and be like, I don't feel well, you know, I'm in the hospital. And then you die, like, or you flatline. Like, you know, you don't really have, like, I'm not the person that came up with life. So it's not like I could be like, oh, pick up my phone, press the app that says life and like bring myself back to life. You know what I mean? So that's my biggest fear, death.
Do you worry about finding the right kind of man one day?
Oh my gosh, I used to worry about that because of like being daddy's little girl. But yeah, I do like worry about that sometimes. I have worried about that before.
I assume you're not 21 years old. You know, as women get older.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry.
As women get older, they tend to start worrying about that more and more.
Well, I don't want to end up like, again, like being in the home with someone all alone, and then they start acting like they pull out their Joker card on you, you know, and they put up a red flag and like they threaten you, like, if you don't do this, if you don't clean the home, like, I'm gonna kill you, like, you know, like, that's scary. So when you're married to somebody and you're laying in the bed with them, that's really as intimate as it gets. So I am concerned about that sometimes, like not finding the right person to like celebrate forever with. So I'm just taking my time right now.
Asia, let me ask you one more question.
Sure.
What would you say is the most important lesson you've learned in your life?
The budget. I think the budget stuff.
That's a good lesson.
The budget stuff. Just because like
how to handle money.
Pardon?
How to handle money.
Yeah, like, I mean, I was driving through Beverly Hills one day and I was like looking at the homes there and I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, like, it must be really nice. Not like, you know, my parents' home isn't like big or anything, but Beverly Hills is Beverly Hills. So I was like looking at the homes there and I'm like, gosh, it must be really nice, you know, like, and then I started thinking, how do the women like budget their money? What if they don't even have a budget? And then I heard someone say, just someone on the radio maybe, and they're like, the hardest thing about being rich is staying rich. So like, I don't want to spend the money that I used to spend. I mean, I used to go to like the Walgreens and buy like just my everyday needs, and I would spend like what I spend now, $5. Okay, $5 at the 99-cent store versus like $100 just on shampoo and conditioner.
You're budgeting.
Yes. Which is really exciting.
Good for you. Well, Asia, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Sure.
I wish you all the luck in the world with your self-worth.
I appreciate that.
You're beautiful to look at, so I don't think you'll have any problems.
Well, you're not hard to look at either.
Oh, you're sweet. We're flirting with each other now. All right, Asia, thank you very much.